about that secret wedding of 7,000 people. It sounds like there may be some secret Thanksgivings too. To find out, we're going to head out to New York now to David Zere. He is the host of Breaking Point. David, welcome to the program.
Steve, listen, I wouldn't be more surprised, like Chevy Chase said in Christmas Vacation, if I woke up tomorrow, my head sewn to the carpet, Cuomo receiving an Oscar for killing 11,000 seniors in New York State. You just can't write it.
It's crazy. And Emmy, but my question is, what does de Blasio get nominated for? Best supporting actor? I mean, honestly, these two people have done possibly the worst job. Max Rose came out, the best campaign ad of 2020. Max Rose, 6 seconds, worst mayor of all time. I'm sad that's one Democrat I wish had gotten reelected because he said the right thing. But I mean, New York looks like it's crazy town to us. For the rest of the world looking in, David, you help us out. It looks like crazy town in there.
Well, de Blasio reminds me of Woody Allen in the movie Bananas. We're in a complete banana republic here. We know he worked for Daniel Ortega while the Russians were mining the Nicaraguan harbors. This guy is not a good guy. We have lost 21% of our small businesses in New York so far. It is complete ruin and economic disaster. And it is by design for his Marxist totalitarian purposes. These leaders in these blue states and these blue cities, this isn't Russia. I went to the Soviet Union in 1986 when it was still communist, and the block captains would come to people's houses and drag them out for buying a new VCR. This is kind of similar. We're a nation of snitches. Right. And now the governor of Oregon is promoting you call on your neighbor so the police can come to your house. This is not just a de Blasio problem. I believe this is like a Marxist takeover of the United States. It's really incredible.
Well, David, I want to ask you about safety. We talked last week about two people that were thrown onto the tracks of the subway because they have a serious problem with mental illness there. The chief of the transit authority went to de Blasio and said, hey, please help us with this situation. Another one over the weekend, you pair that with all the violence, the flamethrower on the bus, the shootings in New York City. What is happening to New York from a safety standpoint, and can it come back from that? Will de Blasio pull it back?
Well, the woman thrown on the subway tracks was about 5 blocks from my daughter's apartment in Chelsea. That was at Union Station. And it is an incredible thing that's going on. I just had Curtis Sliwa on my show, and, he's got solutions where, the police shouldn't be engaging in mental health issues. And the Democrats complain, they claim to care about the homeless people, but they really don't. They just shoved them in 3 hotels on the Upper West Side a few months ago, where people were having, smoking crack in the doorways. And they were sent to these places with no support, with no drug interdiction, with no mental health counseling or anything, or any social services from the city. And, the cops should not be the ones, to address these problems. New York City is in bad shape. The East Side is riddled with homeless people and human waste, and it smells like marijuana, the whole place. And it's really very sad. And, the New York liberal elite, the rich people, are hiding out in the Hamptons in $7 million homes while the city rots. And just wait until the tax revenues go down. Le Bernardin, the best restaurant in the world, closed. Dangerfield's, the best comedy club in the world, closed. The Parisian, one of the oldest restaurants in New York City. All Ellen Stardust Dino, an icon on Broadway. All these places are gone for good. And it's going to take many years for New York to come back. But they've taken advantage of, the reform, George Floyd, and the COVID. So this is a trifecta of problems.
Yeah, but why? The fact of the matter is that, Broadway is never coming back the way it was. The restaurants are not coming back. The economic opportunity, another reason people went there, it's not coming back. You're talking about restaurants closing and shops closing. That takes away the atmosphere. That takes away what New York is. The attractions for New York was food, fun, money, entertainment. Boom. Ghost town with crime rates that are going through the roof. I'm sorry, who wants to go to New York if you don't think the police are there to protect you? Who wants to go to any big city in America, for that matter? And when you said there's mental health problems in New York, I thought you were talking about Andrew Cuomo and Bill de Blasio, not the folks on the street. Because frankly, what's the difference?
So, I've spoken to Giuliani. I worked with the Giuliani administration in the early 90s, their Anchor revitalization program, and they gave federal loan guarantees and seed money for builders to go into these bad areas and take risks and to redevelop Harlem, 116th and Lenox, Malcolm X corridor, Brooklyn Ave, Mermaid Avenue in Coney Island, all these areas that were really high crime. And he was smart, and he gave them federal loan incentives to do that. And they took the risk, and he brought Disney back to Times Square. Bloomberg continued those policies too, but these problems started under Bloomberg too. There was more homeless in the last 2 years of Bloomberg than I ever saw since Giuliani took office. And, there's no economic policy for the de Blasio administration. And then Cuomo tells you, if you're a business owner, like if you're a conservative, he says you're not welcome in New York. If you're a gun owner, you're not welcome in New York. He said it outright. And he has the same contempt for the small businesses. He doesn't care about your families. Gretchen Whitmer doesn't care about your families in Michigan. And Tudor, I'm very sorry for your losses. It's really, in a nutshell, what you said yesterday about these seniors are losing their golden years with their families, everything they worked for, and they have to hide behind glass, and they can't. You can't visit your parents in a nursing home still in New York. And I spoke at a rally on Saturday with thousands of people, and they're angry. They've lost their parents, their grandparents, and they're not sitting down on their laurels and taking it. And now with the devastation, the coronavirus only kills people before 10 p.m., right? So if you have a gym or a restaurant, bar, you can't stay open. These policies are lunacy, and they are destroying the social fabric, the business fabric. This is all interwoven. These are family businesses. We already lost 300,000 New Yorkers out of New York City. This is a crisis.
Right. Yeah. David Zere, yes, we agree with you. Thank you so much for being on today. And just so our audience knows what David was talking about is, yes, I reached out to our Parler audience over the weekend just to let them know that we had a tough weekend in my house. My husband's grandmother and my grandmother both passed away on the same day. And these policies were very awful for both women. My grandmother, for months, we couldn't see her. Then we were allowed to see her. And then they immediately shut it down. We saw her for maybe a month when they shut it down. And she was by herself when she died. And did she die because she was sick? No, she died because she was lonely and we could not go see her. My husband's grandmother was in the hospital with COVID, also died alone. It's a horrible situation. It's definitely not anything anybody wants to live through. And that's why I came out and I said, hey, it may be that 99% of people get over this. But when it's your 0.5% of people that don't because they're older, it's a tough situation. And you have to be aware that it spreads so fast. My husband's entire family has COVID-19 now. It just happened overnight. They got it. She was up sick in the hospital for 4 days and passed away. So it's a serious issue, but it's terrible when you can't be with your family members when they pass. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.